Welcome back to the channel. Alright everyone, buckle up, because this isn't your typical heartwarming animal rescue story. I've always found peace in the quiet of the night, that stillness where the world seems to pause. But that tranquility shattered the day I brought him home. What started as a simple act of kindness at a local shelter quickly spiraled into a terrifying nightmare. I thought I was just adopting a quiet dog named Max. But Max was anything but ordinary. Get ready to hear the chilling tale of the dog who spoke, the shadows that followed, and the ancient evil I unknowingly invited into my life. You won't believe what happened. This is the talking dog nightmare. Let's get into it. I've always been drawn to the quiet, the stillness of the night, when the world feels like it's holding its breath. It's in those moments that I feel most alive, most connected to something deeper, something beyond the surface of everyday life. But that changed the day I brought him home. The day I brought it home. It started with a visit to the local animal shelter. I'd been feeling lonely after moving to a new town, and I thought a dog might be the perfect companion. The shelter was a drab, concrete place with the faint smell of disinfectant lingering in the air. The animals were all barking, their voices rising in a cacophony of desperation. But then I saw him. He was in the last cage, sitting perfectly still, his dark eyes fixed on me. He didn't bark, didn't whine. He just watched. Something about him felt off. But I couldn't quite place it. The volunteer at the shelter told me his name was Max, and that he'd been there for months. He's a good boy, she said, forcing a smile. Just quiet. You'll see. I took him home, and at first, he was everything I could have asked for. Loyal, quiet, always by my side. But as the days went by, I started to notice strange things. Small things, at first. Like how he would stare at me for minutes on end, his eyes unblinking. Or how he seemed to know exactly where I was, even when I was in a different room. I wrote it off as paranoia, told myself I was just overthinking. Then, one night, I heard it. A low, raspy voice that seemed to come from nowhere. It said, "Good boy?" And then it laughed. I froze. It was 3 a.m., and the house was pitch black. The voice wasn't human, it was too low, too gravelly. And yet, it sounded familiar. I fumbled for the light switch, my heart pounding in my chest. When the light flickered on, Max was sitting in the middle of the room, his eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "Did you just," I started, but my voice caught in my throat. Max tilted his head, his tail wagging slightly, as if he were trying to tell me something. I must have imagined it, I told myself. I must have been dreaming. But then it happened again. And again. And again. The first time he spoke to me clearly, I was in the kitchen making dinner. He was lying by the door, his eyes fixed on me as usual. And then, without warning, he said, "You shouldn't have brought me here." I dropped the fork. It clattered to the floor, and I stared at him, my mouth hanging open. "What the hell?" I muttered, trying to laugh it off. But the words caught in my throat. He was watching me, his expression unreadable. "Did you just," I started, but I couldn't finish the sentence. My voice felt like it was strangling me. Max stood up, his movements smooth and deliberate. He padded over to me, his eyes never leaving mine, and I could feel his breath on my leg. "Of course I did," he said. His voice was low, almost a growl, and it sent a shiver down my spine. "You've been ignoring the signs, haven't you? The way the lights flicker when I'm near. The way the air feels colder when I'm in the room. You've been pretending it's all in your head." I backed away, my heart racing. "What are you? What the hell are you?" Max didn't answer. Instead, he turned and walked out of the kitchen, leaving me standing there, shaking. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face, his glowing eyes, his unblinking stare. Days passed, and the occurrences grew more frequent. Doors would slam shut on their own, and I'd hear whispers in the dead of night. I started to feel like I was losing my mind. And then, one evening, I found a book in the attic. It was old, bound in black leather, and it smelled like decay. As I flipped through the pages, I realized it was a diary, written by someone named Elijah. The entries were sporadic, but they spoke of a dog that had been a vessel for something ancient, something evil. I felt a chill run down my spine as I read the final entry. "It's been 3 months since I brought him home," it said. "And now I know the truth. He's not a dog. He's a doorway. And I've let it in." I slammed the book shut and ran downstairs, but Max was already there, sitting in the middle of the room. His eyes glowed brighter now, and his presence seemed to fill the entire space. "You shouldn't have read that," he said, his voice low and menacing. "Now you know too much." I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move. My body felt heavy, as if some unseen force was holding me in place. Max stood up, his movements slow and deliberate, and began to circle around me. I could feel his breath on my skin, cold and rank, and I knew I was in danger. "What are you?" I whispered, my voice trembling. "What do you want?" Max stopped in front of me, his eyes blazing with an otherworldly light. "I am the voice of the shadows," he said. "And I want you to let me in." I shook my head, my mind racing. "I won't let you. I won't." He cut me off with a growl, his voice rising. "You already have. The moment you brought me into your home, you opened the door. And now, there's no going back." As he spoke, the room seemed to darken, as if the shadows themselves were closing in around us. I could feel a presence in the air, something ancient and evil, something that had been waiting patiently for its moment to strike. And then, everything went black. When I came to, I was lying on the floor, my head throbbing. Max was gone, but I knew he was still there, watching me, waiting for me. I didn't stay in the house that night. I couldn't. I packed a bag and left, not knowing where I was going, only knowing that I had to get away. But the voice followed me. It was in my head, echoing in my thoughts, reminding me that I couldn't escape. And I knew then that I was trapped, caught in a nightmare from which I couldn't awaken. The chilling words reverberated in my mind as I drove through the darkness, the headlights of my car cutting a swath of illumination through the inky blackness. I didn't know where I was going, only that I had to get away. Away from the house, away from the voice, away from the thing that had taken up residence within its walls. As I drove, I couldn't help but replay the events of the past few weeks in my mind, trying to make sense of it all. Had I really brought a demon into my home? Was Max truly a vessel for some ancient evil? The idea seemed preposterous, and yet I had heard the voice with my own ears, seen the shadows dance in the corners of my vision. I couldn't deny the evidence before me. I found myself pulling into the parking lot of a small, run-down motel on the outskirts of town. The neon sign flickered weakly, casting an eerie glow over the cracked pavement. I hesitated for a moment, my hand hovering over the door handle, before finally stepping out of the car and into the night. The room was dingy and musty, the curtains drawn tight against the darkness outside. I collapsed onto the bed, my body trembling with exhaustion and fear. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing for certain: I couldn't go back. Days turned into weeks, and I drifted from place to place, always looking over my shoulder, always listening for the voice. It was always there, a constant whisper in the back of my mind, a reminder of the darkness that had taken root in my life. I tried to go on with my life, to pretend that everything was normal, but it was a futile effort. The voice had changed me, altered something deep within me. I was no longer the same person I had been before I brought Max home. One night, as I lay in yet another cheap motel room, the voice grew louder, more insistent. I could feel it clawing at the edges of my mind, trying to burrow its way deeper into my psyche. "Let me in," it whispered, the words like a dagger in my soul. "Let me in, and I will show you things you cannot even begin to imagine. Power, knowledge, immortality. All yours for the taking." I resisted, my willpower a fragile thing in the face of the voice's seductive promises. But as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, I found myself weakening. The temptation was too great, the allure of the forbidden fruit too sweet. And so, one night, I relented. I opened myself up to the voice, allowed it to seep into the very core of my being. And as I did, I felt a surge of power unlike anything I had ever experienced. It was intoxicating, exhilarating, and terrifying all at once. But with the power came a price. The voice was now a part of me, its whispers a constant presence in my mind. I had invited the darkness in, and now it would never let me go. I walked through life as a shadow of my former self, the weight of the voice's presence a constant burden. I had traded my humanity for power, my soul for immortality. And I knew that I could never go back. But even as I mourned the loss of who I once was, I couldn't deny the thrill of the power that now coursed through my veins. I had become something more, something other. And as I looked into the mirror, my eyes glowing with an otherworldly light, I knew that I would never be the same again. For I had heard the voice of Shadow, and it had changed me forever. Alright everyone, that's where my story ends, for now. What started as a search for companionship turned into a terrifying descent into the unknown. The quiet of the night, once a comfort, is now filled with the echoes of that voice. It makes you think, doesn't it? You open your home and your heart, never imagining what might truly be on the other side. The silence can be deceiving, and sometimes, the things that seem the most harmless can hold the darkest secrets. I left that house, but the truth is, I didn't really escape. The voice is still with me, a constant reminder of what happened, of what I let in. If there's one thing this story teaches us, it's this. Be careful what you bring home. You never really know what's staring back at you. Until next time, sweet dreams and sleep tight if you can. Hey, horror fans. If you enjoyed our chilling tale and want to keep the spine-tingling stories coming, don't forget to hit that like button. Your support keeps the darkness alive. Share this video with your friends, let's spread the fear together. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you never miss a hair-raising moment. Join our community of thrill seekers and prepare for more eerie adventures. Thanks for watching, and remember, stay scared.